Hi, everybody. How you doing? And welcome to Around Town Live. I'm Dr. Liz Black, and happy to be with you this evening. Just sharing information. Anytime I can give you information that's going to make your life better, that's going to allow you to come outside the box and maybe do things that you wouldn't normally do. Like maybe you wouldn't take a trip to South Africa. Well, we're going to talk about that tonight, and I am always happy to have him on. He is the chief officer of the Christian Times, pastor of Rise Church, and he's always doing big things in the community. So I'm just really happy that he's on tonight. We are live on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on the Inspired Living Network TV. Welcome to the show, Reverend Dennis Dillon. How you doing, Reverend Dillon?
I'm doing so well, Dr. Liz Black, and my salute to you. You're just doing amazing things. You talk about me doing amazing things.
You are.
I'm just energized by people like yourself that is doing so much in the community to help to transform lives and empower our people. So thank you. I salute you, and always a pleasure to be with you.
Yes. First of all, I think I want to ask you, since I have you, we're going to talk about resurgence, but can you talk about the beginning of the Christian Times? That is such a major paper in our community.
It's been a long journey. I am excited about the evolution of the New York Christian Times going back to 1990.
Wow.
I came from my little town in Englewood, New Jersey, and got dropped in the big borough of Brooklyn, pastor in a church there in Bedford-Stuyvesant, and what a culture shock that was for me way back at the age of 26 years old. But it's been an experience. And as I got to Brooklyn and I start to see what was happening in Bed-Stuy and around the community, I decided, coming from a journalism background, working with a couple of other publications and a daily newspaper in New Jersey as a reporter, I said, wow, there is really the need for a Christian-themed newspaper in New York City. And so we started in June of 1990, about 4 years after I came to New York City, the New York Christian Times. And, you know, Liz, the interesting thing about it is this. The religion editor I got to know him over the years very well, Bill Bell, the late Bill Bell. He was religion editor at the Daily News. So somehow he saw the first publication and came by the office to do an interview with me. And wrote a nice story, but as I'm reading through the story, then he got to the point where he mentioned that this was a David against Goliath matchup, and he laid out the fact that most publications don't last 2 years, and he talked about the mortality rate for Black.
Oh boy!
And I reflect. Actually, he came back to me about 10 years later. In the heydays when the Christian Times was like 60-something pages and regularly distributed as a religious publication in, mind you, the Daily News itself.
Yes.
He did a follow-up story, and I said, Bill, at the end of the day, you lost, because guess what?
Lost.
David did beat Goliath.
Yes, yes, and the publication is still available to us today. Did you can you let everyone know how they can get their hands on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Christian Times are print, still distributed to about maybe 1,300 churches around the city of New York. Certainly online. I know that they are just doing some upgrades and all of that now, but certainly nychristiantimes.com is where you will get the online version, or my
Okay.
weekly e-newsletter that provide news. And I like how the Lord has led us, because we always look for the weak areas in our community. Where is information and resource needed? And so one of the areas that has been really, really weak is that Blacks just don't have enough information. And so we put out this annual report called the Economic State of Black New York report. Then we did the Economic State of Black America report. And
Yeah.
now we do 3 reports, the Economic State of the Black World report, and that report comes out in a couple of weeks. So folks can also get the report online, Economic State of the Black World report.
Reverend Dillon, you have been, in the grind that we understand as a people economically where we stand, where we should be going, why we aren't moving. And I don't think people understand the importance of us being able to stand in having a firm foundation in our finances as a community.
Yeah, absolutely. And here goes the key thing, Dr. Liz Black. And I think this is so key, and it's not talked about as much. Interestingly enough, God gave the 10 commandments in Exodus, but God gave the 2 commandments in Genesis. And those 2 commandments, this is what we all miss. One is to have dominion over everything.
Amen.
That's one of the first directives that he gave. Have dominion over the land, the sea, the fishes in the sea, the fowl, the birds in the air.
Yes.
So we have that dominion mandate. Of course, the second is to be fruitful, to multiply, to replenish the earth. So when we look at where we are, particularly the Black race, we live in communities that we don't dominate, we don't own, we don't control. So the mandate for us through all of our initiatives is really to help through our faith beliefs, through our theological understanding, and that is kind of what needs to move to a whole nother level. That God wants us to own, yes, the land, the fishery, the water industry. So
Yes.
to control resources in our own community, to run our own neighborhoods. So it's been a path that we're on, and we're certainly committed that we're not going to stop until we increase ownership and
all of it,
control within our community. The fact that whites are 8.5 times ahead of Black people in America as it relates to wealth. The fact that less than 0.5% of Blacks in America own businesses, compared to, by the way, 28% of Asians in America own businesses. We're seeing that there is a huge disparity. And for me, the more we create a culture of commerce, is the more we move our people forward around these key areas.
Yes. Well, Jolanda, thank you for chiming in. She said, give me my mountain, all of it. She said, yes, Reverend Dillon. And those of you that are watching, we're talking about a reSurgence conference that's coming up in Durban, South Africa, that Reverend Dillon has set up. It's going to be an awesome, awesome time, because you were talking about how Durban is not only is it a beautiful place to go and it's a resort area, but that there's plenty of opportunity for us economically there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about, for instance, taking um, one of America's most dynamic celebrity chefs, my favorite, Melba Wilson from
Mine
Melba.
too.
She's coming with us on this trip, and so many others from around the New York tri-state area and around the country. We've got a delegation of almost 100 people from around the U.S. that's coming. So I need folks to know that if you want to come, be a part of the trip. I'm excited. Dr. Malcolm Punter, the president, CEO for Harlem Congregation, he's coming with us on this trip. Senator James Saunders. We also have Representative Laura Hall. She's not from New York, she's from Alabama, but she is the chair of the National, Black Caucus Legislative Caucus for the entire United States, all the states across the U.S. She's coming. So it is going to be one of those kinds of experience. And to your point, as you shared, Liz, there's just so much resources on the continent. We've watched folks go to the continent and in no time they're millionaires and multimillionaires. So our mission is to make sure that the delegation that we're taking, as we've been doing for a while, they are connecting with the resources that's available. I'm just tired of Black folks going to Africa saying we're going to do missionary work or we're going to Bari and the rest of it. Not to the importance of missionary work. In fact, someone asked me, "Are you guys going on an evangelistic trip?" I was asked that just today, and I said, "Absolutely, we're going on an evangelistic trip because at the end of the day, when we empower people to own businesses, to control their resources, when we empower communities to begin to own franchises and these kinds of operations, that's exactly what we're doing. We're evangelizing."
Yes. And would you say, Reverend Dillon, that we aren't taught the same? I mean, when you think about Jewish communities, their children, the minute they're born, there's already an account that's set up for them. They're already making money. What are we missing? We're doing chicken dinners when people pass. We're doing GoFundMes.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a part of the re-educating, and it's the journey that we've been on for a while. Yolanda, who is on, and so many others, I'm sure can tell you and will tell you that this has been a long journey for us. We have to teach our people to fish and not give them a fish. I'm not saying people who are hungry should not be fed, but it's really not my ministry. It's not what the Lord has given to us.
Right.
Our mission and mandate is to teach people how to fish, that they will, feed themselves for a lifetime, as opposed to give them a fish so that they will have food for a day. So people and all those who have an interest in starting a business, in growing your business, in looking at investment opportunities there. We also miss the fact, Liz, that there are so many multi-billionaires in Africa. There are more billionaires, Black billionaires in Africa than there are in America. We don't understand that.
Wow.
A lot more. The richest, Black person in the world happens to be an African, businessman. So, and the second richest is Africa as well. When we get to the third richest, then we come to America. And by all of this, you will also find in the economic state of the Black World Report that we put out every year. So yeah, it's clearly what we're about, really getting people to connect. Everybody is running to Africa, and by that I literally mean all of the races, all of the nations. I'm there quite often, and I see it. Just coming from Grenada this morning, actually, I got caught in a hurricane in Grenada.
Oh,
for the pre CARICOM conference that's there, and I've been really trying to get some of these government heads and leaders to
Yes.
understand how important it is for them to lift the economic agenda to a higher level.
Yes.
And that is really the way we achieve some of the other socio political stability and changes that we so desperately need in our sovereign nations and in our communities across the globe.
Now, one thing you haven't said, and we want to let people know that you can still register to go to Durban, South Africa, and be a part of the Durban reSurgence Conference 2024. You could see the information scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Let me put the flyer up so that you can see it. We are looking to head to Durban, South Africa, and you're listening to what Reverend Dillon's saying, and he's talking about how the collaboration and coming together will make a difference in all of our lives, in our community lives, and that there are opportunities there. There's opportunities for us to work together. So if you can, and there's still enough time for you to plan to go to Durban. Now, Reverend Dillon, somebody that would want to go, it's their first time, they're probably saying, oh no, I have to go get a lot of shots and things like that. Do they still have to do that?
That's a great question. You don't need a shot to go to South Africa. Neither would you need a visa to go to South Africa. So those who really want to come can, and almost everybody that have been on a trip to South Africa with me, you know, the moment they land, they're just totally blown away.
Wow.
It's an amazing place. A big part of our agenda. And by the way, this year, South Africa celebrates 30 years of freedom from apartheid. My big concern is that the level of economic apartheid in South Africa is still very similar to the kind of economic enslavement that Black people still struggle with in America. I think the big difference, if I don't want to be overly philosophical, but the big difference is I think the opportunities are more opened up in America, and that has taken a lot of fights. I mean,
I'm sure.
Our people's been out there. We salute. It's Dr. Martin Luther King. It's
yes.
that. It's the years that Reverend Ash Sharpton and I have been working together on creating greater economic opportunities. We've not seen that level of activism in South Africa, so the imbalance is still tremendous. For instance, an example, the per capita GDP for whites in South Africa is the highest in the world. It is at $123,000. I'm gonna say it again because I really want the numbers to sink in for everybody. $123,000. The per capita for Blacks in South Africa is less than $4,300. That's how huge the imbalance is. Unemployment, the same thing. White unemployment is on the 6%. Black unemployment is close to 40%. So unfortunately, there's still those struggles. So I talk about the need for us to achieve economic freedom from apartheid in South Africa. Much of my conversation and my presentations while we're there is going to be around that. And, you know, the delegation going to Maputo in Mozambique is a much smaller delegation. Don't know that we have a lot of room left for that second leg of the trip. But again, if you're serious about coming and you're looking for opportunities there as well, you can. But to your point, Liz, the city of Durban has really opened up and says they really want their African American brothers and sisters to come and take advantage of the many opportunities that are there. For those who've not gone to Durban is like a developing Miami Beach.
Yes.
On the water.
That's what I was about to say. Look at that picture. I said, that looks like Miami to me.
It is. Yes, that is. It
Yeah.
is. There's a huge boardwalk. The artistry is just amazing.
Yeah.
Opportunities for development. We're going to talk about real estate opportunities, real estate development, diverse investment opportunities. I'd love to see some more Black-owned
Wow.
franchise operations there.
Yes.
For Black-owned hotels and so these are all areas that we're planning to discuss during this time. And by the way, just so everybody know, it's going to be quite a conference. We have already registered well over 600 people for the
Wow, that is wonderful.
and I'm projecting, and we were trying to close it off at this number, and I said, listen, can we just open it up for a little more? So we're probably going to be upwards of 800 to 1,000 people for the business conference, and then it's going to be a gospel concert with Hezekiah Walker and
Pastor Shirley
coming down. And we have other artists. So it's really going to be an experience that's going to be unforgettable.
Yes, I think that is wonderful. Look, if you are just tuning in, I want to let you know we are heading to not Miami, but South Africa. You know what? That's prime real estate right there, Reverend Dillon.
It is. It is absolutely. It's an opportunity not to be missed for those. If you're a potential investor, if you're looking to do things, and like I said, the beauty of investing in Africa is that you make so much more money so much quicker than I see my own experience. I'm speaking of than you would in the United States.
Okay, so I don't know how they're doing radio station wise, but we may have to set one up, Reverend Dillon.
Well, can I tell you this? Let me tell you this. One of my friends in South Africa that owns the most popular now talk radio in Johannesburg. He worked for WLIB, WBLS many years ago.
What?
And started his own radio station called Power FM in Joburg. Google Power FM, and Given is just doing amazing stuff.
Power FM.
I've been on his station many times, and it's one of the big ones. That's like the 10 wins of Johannesburg.
Wow. All right, so I think what we need to do is to make sure we have a collaboration between the South African and African artists and the United States artists, and have a gospel station that gives a combination of both. But I'm just saying, when you're ready, go ahead and give me a call. I'll be ready to help work on that with you.
I'm going to make sure you are coming with us next year, Liz. Actually, if I could just quickly add, at the conference we're doing, I really want to talk about art and entertainment, and link that in with tourism across the continent, because these are relatively weak areas. I complain all the time in all my lectures and the presentations I do as I travel all across the continent doing lectures and speaking at diverse conferences. And I said at a conference 3 years ago, maybe 2.5 years, but it certainly was the year after the big COVID year. We were in a place called Kisumu in Kenya, and I shared the fact that when we look at the awards, the Oscars and the Emmys and these awards, especially the Oscar and foreign film, how many times do we find an African film, as great as the African films are? African movies are. Africa's, when I listen to music these days, I'm finding that some of the best music, gospel music, mind you, are coming out of Africa. But not reflected in the Grammy. So this year, coming with me I'm excited that Vosa Rivers, who, as we know, brought Serafina to Broadway, and a host of others, he's
Okay.
on the trip. Daniel Beatty, the Broadway actor, doing amazing stuff. He's coming, and there will be a forum that I'm doing about arts and kind of just how we really strengthen our role and maybe create our own version of maybe the Oscars or the Emmys, as the case.
Yes, because
Award.
you looked at the Grammys, they don't give us any love. There was one award, I believe, was won. Everybody in the category I knew except the person that won in the gospel category. So that right there is saying that they don't have a pulse really in the gospel community and the music like we do. But I'm very happy that you're having these conference. We still are advertising on WMCA, so I'm sure your numbers are going to increase. But for those who may not be able to make it to Durban, South Africa, what do? Cry?
No, I want to let everybody know that all roads will lead after Durban. All roads will lead to Queens, New York. This year, in collaboration with Senator James Saunders' office, the reSurgence Conference will be in Queens. We will be at the Rochdale Village Grand Ballroom. It's just an awesome space. We're looking forward to being there from November 8th through November 11th.
Oh, great.
And that's going to obviously be an awesome time. The Africa delegations are already planning a big part of our mission because, as you know, Liz, you were with us at last year's conference in Harlem. Thanks to all of the Harlem organizations and entities that supported and were part of that.
Yes.
About Columbia University, City College, the Greater Harlem Chamber, just a long list, HCCI, and the list goes on and on. Grateful for everybody who played a key leadership role. This year, we decided it's only fair that we do something in Queens, since we've done Brooklyn and we've done Harlem. So we'll be in Queens this year, and we're excited about this. And everybody who want to be a part of this in Queens, and you're going to meet so many of the African business leaders and government leaders that we're bringing. As I shared, I just got back from Grenada a couple of days ago and met with some of the leaders there, thanks to IBW and Dr. Ron Daniels for his work in coordinating this delegation to the Caribbean. But I'm looking forward to seeing even some of the Caribbean businesses, Caribbean leaders. We met with Chambers of Commerce, seeing those leaders come. My mandate and mission is to get Black business people and clergy leaders in one room and get them excited about working together, and then send them out to go and create what I call a African economic renaissance.
I love it. I love it. Those of you, look, if you're just tuning in or watching on demand, it's not too late. You can sign up at resurgenceconference.com, and that's to go to Durban, South Africa. Let me put the banner up one more time for you to take a look. Bishop Hezekiah Walker will be there. Pastor Shirley Caesar. Other artists will be there. Also, if you've ever been to Melba's restaurant, you know Melba, Chef Melba Wilson, she will be going also. There's a whole list. I can't pick everybody out. I only can pick out those that I know very well, but you have a lot of people that are going with you. It's going to be a great time. And if you can't go in July, we want to see you November 8th through the 11th in Queens, and you can experience the reSurgence Conference right here in the tri-state area. Reverend Dillon, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and you've given such a wealth of information like you always do. And I want you to have the final words before we close out today.
Well, thank you. And I'm always tickled to a great delight to you and to share with you, Liz, and to salute you for your work and your leadership. And like I say, at the end of the day, I like the words of Dr. Martin Luther King. A painful letter that he wrote. He was not in a very happy place. He was arrested unnecessarily because of the disunity of our own people in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And in this particular letter, he restated a statement from Jesus just a little differently when he said, "We live together or we perish like fools." And I think it is such an important time for us to
Yeah.
know that our success, our rise, our growth is really in pulling all of our energies, resources, and working together. So yeah, please do your best to make it with us to Durban. If you can't, don't worry. We will certainly look forward to seeing you in November.
That sounds great. Thanks again, Reverend Dillon. And if you have any questions, anyone, please go over to resurgenceconference.com. Reverend Dillon, I know I'll be talking to you in the future. Hopefully, we can get on again with some other guests from South Africa and give them a chance to, share also. But you've given us a wealth of information and enough to chew on for a bit, and hopefully go with you to South Africa. So get some rest coming in, just flying in and getting on with me. So thank you so much. And I'll see you very soon.
Blessings. Keep up the great work, Dr. Liz Black.
All
Love you.
right. Love you too. Bye-bye. All right, y'all. We'll see you later. Make sure to go to resurgenceconference.com.